Operation Condor Claw. Prelude. How did we get here? In the year 2030, the geopolitical landscape of North America was undergoing a profound and unsettling transformation. The once cooperative relationship between the United States and Mexico had deteriorated into a state of heightened tension and hostility, culminating in a series of border clashes that threatened to reignite the flames of a conflict not seen since the Mexican-American War of the 19th century. The roots of this tension were deeply embedded in economic and political grievances that had been festering for over a decade. Since the migrant crisis of the 2020s, Mexico had increasingly sought to assert its sovereignty and economic independence, challenging the terms of trade agreements that had long favored the United States. What were initially crafted as frameworks for regional stability and mutual prosperity became perceived by a growing segment of the Mexican populace as instruments of economic subjugation, effectively shackling Mexico's aspirations to achieve its full potential on the global stage. This burgeoning discontent was adeptly harnessed by President Antonio López de Santa Anna II, a direct descendant of the infamous Mexican general and president who had led the country during the original Mexican-American War. Santa Anna II, charismatic and driven, emerged as a figurehead of Mexican nationalism, invoking the historical legacy of his ancestors to galvanize public support for a vision of a resurgent and powerful Mexico. Under his leadership, Mexico embarked on an ambitious and aggressive agenda aimed at transforming the nation into a global superpower. Central to Santa Anna II's vision was a deep reverence for Mexico's patricidal and traditional heritage. This heritage, rooted in a patriarchal and hierarchical societal structure, emphasized the importance of strong, centralized leadership and the preservation of cultural values that had been passed down through generations. Santa Anna II skillfully wove these themes into his political narrative, positioning himself not only as a modern leader, but also as a custodian of Mexico's historical legacy. His administration's policies were designed to reinforce traditional gender roles, strengthen the family unit, and reject the progressive social changes that were sweeping across much of the Western world. This embrace of traditionalism was reflected in Mexico's foreign and domestic policies, which increasingly diverged from the liberal democratic norms championed by the United States. Santa Anna II's government promoted a vision of Mexico as a bastion of cultural and moral integrity, standing in stark contrast to what it perceived as the moral decay and social fragmentation taking place in its northern neighbor. This ideological divide only served to further inflame tensions between the two countries. At the heart of Mexico's military expansion was the El Fantasma, or the Ghost Project, a state-of-the-art stealth bomber designed to challenge U.S. air superiority and project Mexican power far beyond its borders. The decision to build a stealth bomber was rooted in a strategic calculus that recognized the need for Mexico to not only defend its sovereignty, but also assert its influence on the global stage. Santa Anna II and his military advisors understood that in order to compete with the United States, Mexico needed a technological edge, something that could shift the balance of power in their favor. The Ghost represented this edge. Its development was intended to achieve several key objectives. First, it would serve as a deterrent against U.S. aggression, ensuring that Mexico could defend itself against potential military incursions. Second, it would provide Mexico with the capability to project power beyond its borders, allowing it to influence regional affairs and assert its dominance in Latin America. Finally, the bomber symbolized Mexico's emergence as a technological power, capable of developing and fielding advanced weapon systems on par with those of the world's leading military nations. As Mexico's military ambitions grew, so too did the frequency and intensity of confrontations along the U.S.-Mexico border. What began as isolated skirmishes over border security and sovereignty issues quickly escalated into more significant and violent clashes. These encounters, though initially contained, underscored the deepening rift between the two nations. The situation was further exacerbated by Santa Anna II's fiery rhetoric, in which he called for the reclamation of lost territories and the restoration of national honor, evoking memories of past conflicts to rally the Mexican people behind his cause. The United States, acutely aware of the threat posed by Mexico's rapid militarization and increasingly aggressive posture, responded by bolstering its own military presence along the southern border. Recognizing the strategic implications of Mexico's actions, the U.S. initiated a series of reconnaissance missions to gather intelligence on Mexico's military capabilities and strategic intentions. It was within this volatile context that Operation Condor Claw was conceived, a high-risk mission designed to penetrate deep into Mexican territory and secure critical intelligence on the development of the El Fantasma stealth bomber. The strategic calculus of both nations was clear. Mexico, under Santa Anna II's leadership, was intent on challenging U.S. dominance and establishing itself as the preeminent power in the region. Conversely, the United States was determined to prevent this resurgence, maintaining its position as the unrivaled leader of North America and ensuring the continued security of its borders. As the border skirmishes intensified and diplomatic efforts faltered, the specter of a second Mexican-American war loomed large on the horizon. The stakes were higher than ever, with both nations poised on the brink of a conflict that could reshape the geopolitical landscape of the continent for generations to come. In this highly volatile and uncertain environment, the success of Operation Condor Claw would prove pivotal, carrying the potential to either avert a catastrophic war or accelerate its onset. The situation was further complicated by the internal political turmoil within the United States. The assassination of the former 45th president, who was seeking re-election by a radicalized male feminist, marked the beginning of a period of unprecedented instability. The subsequent abdication of the 46th president in favor of his black female vice president, Shamla Paris, a polarizing figure known for her extreme far-left policies, only deepened the nation's woes. Paris's presidency was marred by controversial decisions, most notably her appeasement policy towards Mexico, which culminated in the unprecedented cession of California back to Mexican control. This move, framed as a pragmatic response to California's status as a failed state, was met with outrage across the United States. Paris's decision was further tainted by her offer to the Mexican president of incarcerated black men from California's prison system as free labor, a policy rooted in her tenure as district attorney. This deeply unethical gesture was not only rejected by the Mexican president, but also used as a propaganda tool to highlight the moral decay of the U.S. under Paris's leadership. Upon reclaiming California, the Mexican government immediately freed those individuals, framing the act as a liberation and solidifying its resolve to prevent the spread of what it deemed corrupt American values. These events accelerated Mexico's military buildup, driven by a newfound sense of moral and political superiority. The Mexican leadership, now emboldened, viewed the United States as a declining power, internally fractured and increasingly desperate. In response to the growing threat, the U.S., under new Republican leadership following Paris's impeachment, took drastic measures to restore national security. The Immigration and Customs Enforcement Agency, or ICE, was disbanded and replaced by two new military units tasked with securing the southern border: the 204th Thunderbird Armored Battalion and the 9th Eagle Feather Infantry Regiment, both named to honor the rich heritage of the Navajo Nation. Additionally, a Marine unit was strategically stationed on Alcatraz and Angel Island in San Francisco Bay, with their barracks named in memory of the slain 45th president, symbolizing a renewed commitment to protecting American sovereignty. As these military forces prepared for the challenges ahead, the legacy of the turbulent preceding years continued to cast a long shadow over the United States. The country's future and its ability to maintain its dominance in the region would depend on its response to the escalating threat from Mexico. The The unfolding drama between these two nations set the stage for a confrontation that could redefine the balance of power in North America, with Operation Condor Claw standing as a critical juncture in this increasingly fraught narrative. Chapter 1. Roll Call for the Crew. The elite crew selected for Operation Condor Claw was stationed at Kessler Air Force Base, a strategic hub renowned for its advanced training programs and cutting-edge military technology. This base, nestled in the heart of Mississippi, had become the epicenter for some of the most crucial operations in the United States Air Force. And it was here that two exceptional aviators, Captain Kyle "Blaze" Walker and Lieutenant Darnell "Raven" Carter, honed their skills and forged an unbreakable bond. Captain Blaze Walker, a seasoned pilot with a reputation for precise aerial maneuvers and a calm demeanor under pressure, had recently undergone a significant personal upheaval. Blaze's marriage had dissolved in the wake of a bitter and contentious divorce, catalyzed by the discovery of his spouse's infidelity. The emotional toll of this betrayal had been profound, yet Blaze chose to channel his pain and frustration into his military career, severing ties with a toxic relationship that had become untenable. This personal turmoil, rather than weakening his resolve, had sharpened his focus and steeled his determination to excel in his duties. Lieutenant Darnell "Raven" Carter, the highly skilled weapons systems officer and Blaze's backseater, had experienced a similarly devastating betrayal. Raven had caught his girlfriend, a woman he had deeply trusted, in an illicit affair with a famous NFL player. The public nature of this scandal, compounded by the media attention it garnered, had left Raven disillusioned with personal relationships. Like Blaze, he decided to redirect his energy and commitment toward his military career, finding solace and purpose in the structured environment of the Air Force. Their shared experiences of betrayal and loss created a unique and powerful connection between Blaze and Raven. Both men, now fully committed to their roles in the military, found common ground in their dedication to their careers and their mutual advocacy for the Red Pill movement, a philosophy that emphasizes self-improvement, personal responsibility, and a critical view of societal expectations, particularly regarding relationships and gender dynamics. This ideology resonated deeply with both men, offering them a framework to rebuild their lives and identities after the painful experiences they had endured. At Kessler Air Force Base, the two became known not only for their exceptional skills, but also for their intense focus and discipline. This unwavering commitment made them ideal candidates for high-stakes operations like Condor Claw, where the margin for error was non-existent and the consequences of failure were dire. In the cockpit, their synergy was unparalleled. Blaze's mastery of the Tech Scorpion's flight systems, combined with Raven's razor-sharp analysis and tactical acumen, made them a formidable team. Their mutual understanding, forged in the crucible of personal adversity, allowed them to operate with a level of trust and coordination that was rare even among the elite ranks of the Air Force. As advocates of the Red Pill movement, Blaze and Raven brought a unique perspective to their military careers, one that emphasized resilience, mental fortitude, and an unyielding commitment to their personal and professional goals. This mindset, coupled with their exceptional skills and experience, made them the perfect duo to undertake the perilous mission of Operation Condor Claw, where their ability to remain focused and execute with precision would be tested to the utmost. Chapter 2. The Aircraft. The Tech Scorpion, or its official name, the Textron Airland Scorpion II, was the latest marvel of U.S. military aviation. It stands as a testament to the principles of relentless self-improvement and unyielding strength values, central to the Red Pill philosophy that had become a guiding force for its pilots, Blaze and Raven. As the designated replacement for the venerable A-10 Warthog, the Tech Scorpion was not merely an evolution in military hardware, it was a symbolic embodiment of the journey toward becoming the best version of oneself, both in terms of capability and resilience. From a technical perspective, the Tech Scorpion represents the pinnacle of modern aerial warfare, integrating the rugged durability and combat effectiveness of its predecessor, the A-10 Warthog, with cutting-edge advancements in stealth technology, agility, hardened lightweight composite armor, and firepower. The aircraft's design philosophy mirrors the Red Pill message, stripping away unnecessary frills and focusing on core competencies that deliver results. Every component of the Tech Scorpion is optimized for peak performance, from its advanced composite materials that reduce radar cross-section to its next-generation avionics systems that enhance situational awareness and decision-making in the heat of battle. The aircraft's exterior, sleek and formidable, reflects an unrelenting focus on functionality. Its low-profile design and angular surfaces allow it to evade enemy radar with ease, while the powerful engines provide the thrust needed to outmaneuver even the most advanced adversaries. Yet, beneath this exterior lies the true heart of the Tech Scorpion, a fusion of brute strength and tactical sophistication that makes it a force to be reckoned with in any combat scenario. In the same way that the Red Pill philosophy encourages individuals to reject societal expectations and embrace their true potential, the Tech Scorpion rejects the limitations of traditional aircraft design. It is unapologetically built to dominate the battlefield, embodying a spirit of resilience and adaptability that is essential in modern warfare. This aircraft, like the pilots who fly it, has undergone a transformation, emerging as the best possible version of itself, fully equipped to face and overcome any challenge. The Tech Scorpion's weaponry, while not as expansive as the A-10's famed arsenal, is no less effective. It carries a versatile array of munitions, including precision-guided missiles and an advanced autocannon that, though smaller than the Warthog's GAU 8/A Avenger, is engineered for higher accuracy and lethality. This reflects the Red Pill's emphasis on quality over quantity, on making each action count, and on the precision of one's choices. Inside the cockpit, the Tech Scorpion's interface is designed with the pilot's efficiency in mind. The heads-up display, HUD, and multifunctional displays provide real-time data, allowing for rapid decision-making in complex environments. This level of integration between pilot and machine symbolizes the alignment of one's inner self with external actions, a core tenet of the Red Pill ideology. The Tech Scorpion is not just a machine, it is an extension of the pilot's will, a tool through which the individual can exert maximum influence on the battlefield. As Blaze and Raven took the controls of the Tech Scorpion, they were not just operating an advanced aircraft, they were commanding a manifestation of their own pursuit of self-mastery and excellence. The Tech Scorpion, equipped with the VALOR system, or VALOR, Virtual Assisted Logical Operations Regulator, was engineered to operate at the pinnacle of performance. This AI system optimized every aspect of the aircraft's capabilities, reflecting the principles of strength, adaptability, and an unwavering commitment to mission success. With Valor enhancing its operational precision, the Tech Scorpion embodied the Red Pill philosophy in its most tangible form, a relentless, finely tuned machine, perfected for dominance in the skies. Chapter 3. The Mission. Operation Condor Claw was a meticulously planned and high-risk reconnaissance mission designed to penetrate deep into Mexican territory and gather critical intelligence on the nation's clandestine development of the Ghost stealth bomber. The mission, a direct response to the escalating tensions and increasingly hostile actions between the United States and Mexico, required not only tactical precision but also a careful consideration of environmental and geopolitical factors. The mission commenced from Kessler Air Force Base, a key installation for strategic operations. However, the original flight plan required significant adaptation due to the presence of a tropical depression that had formed in the Caribbean. This weather system, named Tropical Depression Maria, posed a potential obstacle to the mission's success, but it also presented a unique opportunity to mask the Tech Scorpion's approach. The decision to deviate the flight path over Cuba was made to exploit the cover provided by the storm and the geopolitical tensions in the region. By rerouting the Tech Scorpion through the edge of Maria's storm bands, the mission planners aimed to obscure the aircraft's radar signature, taking advantage of the natural electromagnetic interference generated by the depression. This deviation, while adding complexity to the mission, was deemed necessary to avoid early detection by Mexican air defense systems, which had been placed on high alert due to the heightened hostilities between the two nations. Cuba, already sensitive to U.S. military activity in the region, provided an additional layer of ambiguity to the Tech Scorpion's approach. By skirting Cuban airspace, the aircraft's presence could be attributed to routine U.S. weather surveillance in the Caribbean, rather than a direct incursion into Mexican territory. This subterfuge was critical in ensuring that the Tech Scorpion remained undetected until it was in position to execute the reconnaissance over the Yucatan Peninsula. As the Tech Scorpion navigated the turbulent skies on the periphery of Tropical Depression Maria, Blaze and Raven maintained their focus, fully aware of the mission's stakes. The combination of the storm's unpredictable patterns and the need to remain stealthy required them to adapt their flight tactics in real time, balancing the demands of remaining undetected with the challenges posed by the weather. The primary objective was clear: to obtain photographic and electronic evidence of the El Fantasma stealth bomber, which intelligence reports indicated was housed at a secret base deep within the jungle of the Yucatan Peninsula. This base, heavily fortified and shrouded in secrecy, represented the culmination of Mexico's efforts to challenge U.S. air superiority, a move that, if left unchecked, could shift the balance of power in the Western Hemisphere. Blaze and Raven, fully cognizant of the implications of their mission, understood that success hinged not only on their technical proficiency, but also on their ability to navigate the geopolitical and environmental complexities that had been thrust upon them. The mission was not merely a test of their skills as pilots, but a critical operation that would determine the course of future U.S. actions in response to Mexico's aggressive militarization. As they approached Mexican airspace, the Tech Scorpion's Valor systems reduced its radar cross-section, enabling the aircraft to blend into the storm's chaotic backdrop. The choice to fly over Cuba and through the edges of Tropical Depression Maria had been a calculated risk, one that Blaze and Raven were prepared to execute with the utmost precision. The mission's success would depend on their ability to remain undetected until the critical moment when they could capture the evidence needed to expose Mexico's clandestine activities and return safely to U.S. airspace. In the high-stakes world of modern aerial warfare, Operation Condor Claw represented not just a tactical challenge, but a strategic gambit that could alter the course of history. And the slightest miscalculation could have far-reaching consequences for both nations. But, being discovered, the Tech Scorpion glided silently to its target through the dense jungle canopy as an opening became clear enough for the Valor onboard system to immediately come to life under Raven's command and began collecting data, its sensors sweeping the area for all signs of activity. Blaze and Raven were locked onto their target, a sprawling complex hidden deep within the trees. The mission had been smooth so far, the stealth systems working perfectly along with the data collecting onto the aircraft hard drives. But then, a sudden, sharp beep from the radar shattered the calm. "Blaze, we've got a radar spy," Raven said, his voice tense as he monitored the instruments. His eyes scanned the screens, searching for the source. "3 bogies that must have been on patrol and are being vectored straight for us." And then sparing a quick glance. "Visual confirmation. 10 o'clock high." "Fudge," Blaze muttered, gripping the controls tightly. He quickly assessed the situation, eyes flicking between the bandits and the horizon. Any smoke in the air? Raven, focused on the rear sensors and the weapon systems, quickly scanned for any signs of missile launches. "Negative on missiles so far, Blaze. But those bogies are closing fast. They must not be in weapons range, but that can change in less than a minute." Blaze kept the Tech Scorpion low, hugging the terrain to stay under the radar as long as possible, so the Valor computer system could collect as much data as possible, as the inner voice in his head whispered. If we can avoid engaging just a little bit longer. But he and his backseater knew if the bogies launched, they'll have to fight our way out. Stay sharp, Raven. Let me know the second you see smoke in the air. Roger that, Raven replied, his voice calm but laced with urgency. He was ready, his hands hovering over the countermeasure controls, prepared to react to any threat. Scope says they're getting close. In just a few more seconds, Blaze adjusted the tech Scorpion's altitude, bringing them closer and bilateral to the base that now loomed below. The target was within reach as the Valor system continued to process the data. But time was running out fast. Seconds felt like hours as the tech Scorpion streaked past the target, the enemy jets hot on their trail. Blaze's eyes flicked between the controls and the base below, his heart pounding in his chest. Suddenly, Raven's voice cut through the tension. Blaze, smoke in the air. The Mexican Air Patrol has launched their missiles. Blaze cursed under his breath, his hands flying over the controls as he prepared for evasive maneuvers. With the enemy now fully aware their most valuable nation secret was compromised by the presence of the intruding aircraft, they vectored and willed their missiles streaking through the sky to destroy the intruso. The mission had taken a dangerous turn, but the American pilots were trained for this, and they weren't going down without a fight. The tech Scorpion roared into action, dodging the incoming threats as it raced to escape with the vital intel that could change the balance of power. Chapter 4: The Dogfight. The tech Scorpion was fully exposed now. As soon as the enemy missiles were launched, any hope of a stealthy exit was out the window. Blaze pushed the throttle forward, feeling the jet surge beneath him as they sped through the sky. The enemy missiles, or missiles anemigos, were closing in, but Blaze's quick reflexes and Raven's precise observations kept them one step ahead. Blaze, brake left, Raven commanded as he noticed a missile closing in from the right. Blaze yanked the stick, sending the tech Scorpion into a sharp left turn. The missile streaked past, exploding just off in the air beside the wing. The shockwave caused Blaze to mutter a curse as his grip tightened on the controls as Raven responded, his eyes locked on the radar display. Two of the bandits are attempting a pincer movement, while the third is rapidly descending from above. Blaze quickly assessed their options, his eyes flicking across the horizon. I'm taking us down through that valley. Might lose them in the terrain. Yeah, that strategy may prove effective, though I must note the third bogey still will obtain a missile lock on us, Raven said, his tone measured as he adjusted the countermeasures to assist their aircraft. Copy, Blaze replied, diving the tech Scorpion into the valley below, skimming the treetops as he pushed the aircraft to its limits. The enemy jets, or aviones anemigos, followed closely, intent on bringing them down. Raven, give me a systems check, Blaze called out, his voice tight with concentration as his stick began to feel sluggish to his commands. Affirmative. As he tapped some macro computer commands to Valor. We have sustained damage to the right wing, Raven reported, his tone clinical as he scanned the damage assessments. Valor has some shock damage, but I already switched it to run in the backup mode. Understood, Blaze replied, his jaw clenched. He knew the primary system had burst transmission capabilities for fast upload speeds to U.S. satellites, where the backup did not. This now meant the data would have to hand-deliver. As they raced through the valley, one of the bandits broke off, attempting to outflank them. Raven noticed the maneuver on the radar. Blaze, a bandit is attempting to engage from our flank. Just as Raven completed the warning, the first missile was launched, which caused Raven to follow up, deploying countermeasures. The sky was a mix of chaff and flares as the missile was lured away from their aircraft as Blaze swung the tech Scorpion into a tight turn. The damaged wing made the maneuver sluggish, and the bandits seized the opportunity, launching a second missile. "Missile incoming," Raven alerted, deploying the flares with precision. The decoys streaked out behind them, successfully diverting the second missile away from the aircraft as well. With limited armament remaining, both pilots knew they had to make every shot count. Blaze pulled the tech Scorpion up and over, catching the pursuing Mexican pilot off guard, and the tech Scorpion had him in its weapons envelope. So with the target acquired, Blaze's fingers moved swiftly to select guns to engage his first threat. A burst of cannon fire of depleted uranium slugs erupted from the tech Scorpion, the tracers cutting through the bandits' fuselage. The enemy jet spiraled out of control, crashing into the valley below. "Splash, one down," Raven confirmed. 2 remain. But the remaining aircraft weren't backing off and wanting to avenge their stricken camarada. They pressed their attack, determined to bring the intruder down. Blaze evaded another missile, but the tech Scorpion shuddered as enemy fire clipped the tail. "The systems board shows we've taken additional damage to the tail control surfaces," Raven reported, his tone still composed. Blaze gritted his teeth, feeling the aircraft's sluggish response. Blaze pushed the tech Scorpion into a steep climb, drawing the 2 remaining Mexican fighters after them. As they reached the peak, he suddenly cut the engines, letting the aircraft drop in a controlled stall, allowing the tech Scorpion fall behind the pursuing aircraft. Blaze quickly fired their remaining missile and a burst of cannon fire. The missile struck one of the Mexican aircraft, disintegrating it midair, while the cannon fire shredded the second, sending it plummeting in flames. "Both bandits neutralized," Raven said, scanning his scope and exhaling slightly. "My scope is clear." Blaze restarted the engines, pulling the tech Scorpion out of its dive. The aircraft groaned in protest, the battle damage evident with every shudder and strain. "We're banged up, but we're still flying," Blaze said, relief washing over him. "Vectoring 90 degrees to the Gulf." "Copy that," Raven replied, settling back in his seat as they turned northward, scarred but victorious, as the 2 pilots soared back toward friendly airspace. Chapter 5: The Egress Reflection. With the last of the bandits taken down, Blaze brought the tech Scorpion back on course, though the aircraft was giving him trouble. The damage to the left wing and tail rudder made every movement a strain, the controls responding sluggishly. "Blaze," Raven asked as he was scanning the damage reports again, "how's our bird holding up?" His voice laced with concern as he felt the jet struggle to keep steady. "We're in rough shape," he replied. "The left wing must be more compromised than what we can see, and the tail control surfaces are only partially responsive." The aircraft did a slight shudder. "We'll make it back, but it's going to be a rough ride." "Copy that," Raven said, focusing on keeping watch of his scope, and began attempting to transmit what he could from the backup system as they sped toward friendly airspace. But to no avail. As Blaze attended his focus on keep the aircraft level, Raven took a moment to glance back at the base, now rapidly disappearing from view, as this prompted him pull up system recordings that was gathered. "Blaze, the intel we gathered what I saw during the pass, it's worse than we thought." Blaze's grip tightened on the controls. "What did you see?" Raven reviewed the playback from the recording, his eyes narrowing as he focused on the details. His tone became more analytical, reflecting the gravity of his thoughts. "Blaze, what we're seeing here is beyond what we expected. Valor's preliminary scans show the stealth bomber's design incorporates advanced radar-absorbent materials and a low observable profile that rivals anything we've seen." The way the aircraft was concealed, its infrared and electronic signature was practically non-existent. The aerodynamics alone suggest they've optimized it for extreme maneuverability and long-range penetration, likely without the need for refueling. Blaze's frown deepened, his mind racing through the implications.
How sure are you?
Extremely, Raven replied, his voice taking on a grim edge. The recordings provide clear evidence of a highly capable stealth platform. The integration of next-gen avionics and the low radar cross-section suggest they're not just dabbling, they've mastered it. If they can produce these in sufficient numbers, we're looking at a serious and credible threat to our air superiority. They'll have a significant edge, especially in contested environments.
Copy,
Blaze responded, the weight of Raven's words sinking in. He knew they were carrying crucial information that could alter the balance of power in the region. Every mile closer to home was a mile closer to ensuring the safety of their nation. As they continued their flight, the tech Scorpion bucked and shuddered, the damage making the journey arduous. Blaze coaxed the controls, keeping the jet on course despite its battered state.
Hang in there, baby,
Blaze muttered, coaxing the aircraft along.
We're almost home.
Raven, sensing the weight of the moment, let a small amount of dry humor slip through their circumstance. I'm thinking maybe we offer our bird some good old crawdads and crayfish, who knows? Maybe it'll appreciate a taste of Louisiana, even if it runs on high-performance biodiesel. Even though it was corny, Blaze only chuckled through his mask. Finally, after what seemed like an eternity, the familiar coastline of Louisiana came into view on the horizon. The tech Scorpion, though bearing the scars of battle, had carried Blaze and Raven safely back to friendly territory. As they initiated their final approach, the aircraft made a shaky yet controlled descent. With a thud and a slight tremor, the tech Scorpion touched down on the runway, battered but intact. Their mission, though fraught with peril, had been a success. Upon landing, intelligence personnel immediately retrieved the hard drive containing the critical data for detailed analysis. Blaze and Raven, still processing the gravity of their findings, proceeded to their debriefing, where they would provide first-hand accounts of the mission and the implications of what they had uncovered. The aftermath. Epilogue. In the expansive corridors of the Mexican presidential palace, President Antonio López de Santa Anna II stood surrounded by his top military strategists. They meticulously analyzed the intelligence reports detailing the incursion of an unidentified aircraft into Mexican airspace. This aircraft had audaciously penetrated the highly classified site of Mexico's stealth bomber projects and successfully downed 3 Mexican fighter jets. Despite sustaining damage during the engagement, the invading aircraft's stealth capabilities had been partially compromised, allowing Mexican radar to briefly track its erratic northward course. However, the pilot's skillful and unpredictable maneuvers left the experts uncertain of its exact trajectory. For Santa Anna II, the implications were clear. The Ghost was no longer a closely guarded secret, nor the strategic trump card it had once been. It was only a matter of time before the Americans fully understood the threat posed by this new weapon. Recognizing the urgency of the situation, Santa Anna II knew that Mexico would need to act decisively to maintain the upper hand. He ordered his generals to begin a comprehensive examination of the American military units stationed in the Southwest, focusing on their order of battle. With California already under Mexican control, the president saw this as an opportune moment to reclaim the remaining territories of the former Mexican Empire in the Southwest. And perhaps, if all went according to plan, there could be an even bolder move on the horizon. As these thoughts coalesced in his mind, Santa Anna II's gaze grew distant, his smile widening as a familiar phrase from his northern neighbors echoed in his thoughts. The stars at night are big and bright. He began to smile, with the vision of seeing his forces striking deep into the heart of Texas.